suspension and handling characteristics of the Shelby Daytona Factory 5 kit. And let's get right into it. I'm going to do a quick walkthrough on the suspension. It's got unequal A-arm front and rear, and toe arms in the rear, independent rear suspension obviously in the rear, and camber and caster adjustable in the front. Let's open up the hood. And beautiful Coyote engine. Love how the clamshell opens up, but let's get right to it. We got Coney single adjustable inverted, and adjustable ride height, adjustable caster, because you could change both the sides of the A-arm. You could also change the camber. We have three-way adjustable front and rear sway bars. That's an option. You don't have to get those. I would recommend it because these are really soft as is. And it's kind of nice having the softer springs with the sway bar combination because it rides pretty dang good, all things considered. And that's basically it. On the front, we got this space frame chassis that provides a lot of rigidity, so you can have, like I said, the soft suspension. Big, almost 15-inch Willwood 6-piston brakes. You need 18-inch wheels just to clear them. We have BF Goodrich Rivals, going to change those to Toyo Proxies pretty soon. 275 section in the front, big old 335s in the rear here. Toyo Proxies, and there is the beautiful independent rear suspension. Unlike a Mustang that has multi-length, this has unequal length A-arms and Coney adjustable shocks. And again, we got that rear sway bar. And since it has the axle or differential out of a newer Mustang, it has limited slip differential with a clutch type, not a torsion. And that's about it. Let's go rip around on some back roads, and I'll give you a tutorial. All right. I'm going to do a quick video about the, well, maybe not quick, suspension and handling characteristics of the Daytona. So yeah, it's got independent rear suspension, which really helps. Not so much with the handling, I don't think. I'm sure a solid rear axle would handle pretty similarly, but the biggest thing is the ride. It rides so much better than a solid rear axle car. Independent front suspension. I think I would rather add a little bit more caster in the front, and a little bit more negative camber. Aside from that, the tires were great, but they started to get old, so I replaced the rears with Toyo Proxies. We got 3035s in the rear, 275s up front, 18s, and I love the rear tires, and I'm going to switch the front ones. I wanted to wait till summertime. I didn't want to run the new tires in the salt and the cold and everything, especially if I'm going to put Toyos on there. Yeah, I don't really do anything too crazy. I don't autocross the car or anything. Just back road cruising and just driving this everywhere is basically all that I do. It sounds so good. So I think if I were to build it, I would have put a little bit narrower tires on the rear, because I do have a little bit of understeer. Even when I had the other tires, BF Goodrich G-forces in the rear also, I had understeer and oversteer then. So maybe the Toyo Proxies will help that, I'm sure. But it's got good turn in. The chassis is really stiff. It's got think it's got Heim joints on the tie rods, if I remember right. It's got ball joints on the upper and lower control arms. But adjustable front and rear sway bars, they're the same size. I probably would have gone a little bit thicker in the front, but I could have just adjusted it a little bit to a stiffer setting. I just haven't gotten around to it because I kind of like how it's set up now. I prefer a little bit of understeer personally because I'm not the best driver and I'm not really pushing it anyway in the first place. So I think it's tuned pretty good. The brakes, it's got too much brakes in my opinion. Just kind of a waste of weight, unsprung weight. Although they are two-piece with aluminum hats in the front and rear, so probably not all that much heavier than the 12-inch or 12.5-inch Willwoods. 6-piston, so like I said in the other video, I mean, you really have to romp on that brake pedal to get any feel whatsoever. But it will stop when you need it to. And like I said, I think it could use a little bit more caster. The turn-in feel, the chassis is so stiff, it's so direct, but I would like it to have just a little bit more turn-in, a little bit of toe-in. I think would help it kind of, you're not fighting the steering wheel as much. But like I said, I'm not pushing this to the limit anyway, so I'm not stressing about having a super precise alignment. Like I said, it's just the daily, or now it's a weekend cruiser now that I have the H2. Yeah, what else can I say about? I love how it's got a limited slip rear diff. It's got a clutch type, which doesn't bother me because like I said, I'm just not pushing it that much. But I do like having the limited slip, so I can kick out the rear if I want to, if I'm really pushing it. The only thing is with this Coyote engine, it's got good mid-range torque and good high-end power, but it does not have a lot of grunt low end for a V8. Now the new ones, they have more sophisticated variable valve timing. I think that this one is just on the exhaust cam, and then the Gen 3 Coyote actually has it on the intake as well. So hopefully that gives it a little bit more low-end grunt. I know the Gen 3 Coyote revs to 7,500. This will just go to 7,000. For a V8, that's not bad at all. A little squirrel in the road, not too worried about that. Boy, it sounds good though. Decent amount of engine braking, not a whole lot. And one thing I do like about the Coyote though, it always starts up and everything, even in the winter time. And it gets really good gas mileage. I get about 25 with this, and I'm very happy with that. It's very compliant. You can drive it like a grandma, or you can get on it and be on the track and it'll be happy all day. As you can see, we're running 170 degrees, and oil pressure is normal and everything. So it's got a cross-flow radiator also that really helps with the cooling. So I haven't had, after I got all the bugs worked out, I haven't had any issues with it overheating or anything. It'll creep up with the air conditioning on when it's sitting sometimes, but that's normal for a car like this. Well, let's get back to the suspension. And so is the independent rear suspension worth the extra 3,000? Because you're gonna buy a rear axle anyway, a Mosier solid rear axle anyway. Yeah, I think it's worth the extra 2,000, 3,000, and it sounds like a lot of money when you're building the car.
but it's one and done. You know, you buy it and you're done with it. Now, I understand being on a budget, but you still got to get brakes anyway, this and that. So the only thing that I would have shorted this kit on is got all the, you know, all the options that Factory 5 offers. But I wouldn't have gotten such big brakes personally on this one. Let's see if there's any more friends over there. Nah. I'll go on to the next one. And like I said, it just seems like kind of a waste to have that much weight, unsprung weight and everything. And I just don't push it that hard anyway. Now, if you're going on a track, sure. But yeah, I haven't got these brakes anywhere close to being warm even. So yeah, I mean, that's about all I got to say about the handling characteristics of the car. It definitely handles a lot better than a Cobra. I'll say that for sure. The chassis is a lot stiffer. It's just a lot more compliant. And it rides a lot better too.